Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India NewsHour, India's voice to the world. I'm Amritpal Singh. Coming up in the next 1 hour, Prime Minister Narendra Modi says that the National Democratic Alliance government redefined women-led development in its 11 years in power. Donald Trump threatens federal intervention as anti-ICE protests sweep across Los Angeles. Deploys 2,000 National Guard troops. Federal agents arrest at least 44 migrants for immigration violations in the first round. Colombia's opposition presidential candidate Miguel Uribe shot at in Bogota. Battles for life. Suspect arrested. In a super showdown, world number one Yannick Sinner takes on defending champion Carlos Alcaraz in the French Open final. Prime Minister Narendra Modi-led government has completed 11 years in office. Up next, we get you how good governance has impacted lives and improved the status of Indian economy. Through schemes like Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao and Mission Shakti, women empowerment has been one of the hallmarks of the government led by Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Highlighting the government's efforts to redefine women-led development in the last 11 years, Prime Minister Modi on Sunday said that various government initiatives are intended to empower the country's women.
The government led by Prime Minister Narendra Modi, the focus has shifted from women's development to women-led development. Over the last 11 years, schemes like Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao and Mission Shakti have been a reflection of this. Women and children comprise nearly 67.7% of India's population, and their empowerment is not just social reform. It's a strategic imperative. Let's take a look at initiatives for women. With an investment of over rupees 1.81 lakh crore, Poshan 2.0 is being rolled out to build a culture of well-being through improved practices, stronger immunity, and holistic wellness. One of the world's largest public health efforts, Universal Immunization Program covers nearly 2.9 crore pregnant women annually, protecting both mothers and their newborns from vaccine-preventable diseases. 73% of nearly 2.75 crore PM Gramin Yojana or rural housing scheme beneficiaries are women. Under the Pradhan Mantri Ujjwala Yojana, 10.33 crore LPG connections have been distributed. Over 12 crore toilets have been built under SBM Gramin as part of the Swachh Bharat mission. Over 15.6 crore tap water connections are transforming the lives of the women in rural India, who had to fetch water from long distances. More than 34.11 lakh crore loan amount has been sanctioned under Pradhan Mantri Mudra Yojana. Notably, 68% of the beneficiaries are women. Mission Shakti is a flagship initiative to ensure the safety, security, and empowerment of women across all stages of life. Women have also made strides in defense. The graduation of the first batch of female cadets from the National Defense Academy is a testament to this. India boasts the highest number of female pilots in the world and leads globally in the proportion of women graduating in STEM or science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. The landmark Nari Shakti Vandan Adhiniyam marks a constitutional leap for women's political empowerment by reserving 33% of seats in the Lok Sabha or lower house and state assemblies for women. The Modi government has placed women at the center of India's development journey. transforming everyday struggles into opportunities for health, safety, and self reliance. From housing to hygiene, each initiative has uplifted lives and strengthened the foundation of Nari Shakti in rural India. Bureau Report, DD India.
And to talk more about that, I'm joined by Professor Sushma Yadav. She is the former Vice Chancellor of the Women's University in Haryana. Professor Yadav, thank you very much for being on the show. The Prime Minister says that his government in the last 11 years that it's been in power, has shifted to the focus to women-led development. He says his government has redefined women-led development. How has this government redefined women-led development?
I think women-led government or women-led development itself is a contribution of this government. We were talking about women and development vocabulary, women's participation in development, women's role in development, how development can go to women or reach women. But the government, and especially Prime Minister Modi, has in fact redefined. He said it's not to be a development for women or development with women, but it has to be a development by women. And I think he understood the crux. I would say, since he is a worshipper of Shakti, he understood the Shakti of women. That's why Women Mission Shakti program and the safety of women, putting women at every place, whether it's the master of the house, because now the houses can be in her name and a concession is given there. PM Yojana also keeps certain houses or certain slots for women. Women as women, women as mother, women as daughter, all have been at the center of the thinking of this government. It's for the first time that we had a finance minister. Finance ministry was supposed to be a very strong or a kind of a, very robust ministry where only men were there and very strong seasoned politicians would be there, or the prime minister would keep them. But this government, for the first time, gave finance to a woman, and without fail, the budgets are coming, and the budgets are coming with lots of new schemes for women. So women-led development has been adopted not only by Prime Minister Modi during the international visits or the programs that India did at that time, but it is at the soul of his planning for Bharat, the Atmanirbhar Bharat or the Sashakt Bharat that he looks for. So women are at the heart of it. As the lists unfolded by the report which your bureau has prepared very beautifully, they are now in NDA, they are now in forces, they are now flying the planes, they are now taking mudra loan, and they are the entrepreneurs, there are Hunar Hearts. For the first time, the Indian government has thought about Indian women. It's not merely women, but Indian women, their lives, their needs. So as a mother, she has to be really nourished and respected. As a woman, she has to be given opportunities. As a daughter, she has to be protected, she has to be educated, she has to be empowered, and she has to be given a place. And even as a wife or home manager, I won't say housewife, but a home manager, she has to be respected because she can do lots of works while doing that work. And I'm very happy that we have resisted the pressure which comes from the World Bank and other such monetary agencies, which say that women's homework goes waste and that needs to be really counted as a part of economy. I'm sure we'll find some ways and means to do that. But putting a monetary cap or a monitoring amount for a woman's work at home, I don't think is respectable, is economically viable, or even good for the economy. Of course, we must understand what they do, we must respect what they do, and we must give a salute to every woman who manages a home. But she manages home, she manages office, she manages work, she manages children, she manages a business, she manages a field, now she manages a field as well, she manages herself, she manages all around in the house. That role of woman has been recognized by this government, and you can see the changes. I think women are really feeling empowered. I've gone to distant corners of India and I've found women working, and they really remember this kind of recognition, this kind of support which has been given by Jan Dhan Yojana, because earlier it was difficult for women.
Professor Yadav, I'll stop you
Yes,
here.
yes.
Very true. I don't disagree with any bit of what you say. In fact, I agree with a lot of things that you say. You come from Haryana.
Right.
You know, women like you have headed universities. Women, as you rightly say, women have been working in the fields. Women have been managing homes. In many areas, they're more productive than men. I can tell you, in my newsroom, my female colleagues are more productive than my tribe in the newsroom. And they, you know, we idolize our women. They are our deities, they are our goddesses, they are our mothers, daughters. We've always respected them traditionally, culturally. But has our mindset changed? Drive 30 kilometers, 35 kilometers from Delhi into western UP, Rajasthan, your state, Haryana, 35 kilometers, 40 kilometers. Has that mindset changed in the hinterland towards how we view our women?
I think it is changing.
Okay.
You know, mindsets take the longest route in changing, you know, they don't change easily, but I think it is changing. And I wish I had that photo and it could be part of a bureau. I saw a woman very well dressed and, you know, running a bullock cart, or I think it was not even bullock, but running a cart full of her things. And I think now they say that women can do whatever. Mindset has changed because mothers are trying to push their daughters towards education. The fathers have started feeling proud of their daughters. Selfie with daughter. I can never forget what our Prime Minister Modi made popular. Now fathers are proud of them. And let me tell you about Haryana, Rajasthan. Of course, there are hinterlands, there are villages, there are, I won't say patriarchal because that term is not very, very apt to describe our system, and that came much more from the West. But there are patriarchal notions in male minds at some places. For instance, you're showing police. You know, police has women, army has women, but yet they are not given positions or postings, which are called hard postings, because they're supposed to be safe and softer. But I would say even that mindset would change if Kalpana Chawla could have gone.
No. I'll stop you here. I'll give you a personal example.
Yeah.
I used to cover defense. So once I was out on an assignment. So I'm sitting with the Jat regiment guys.
True.
So this officer says, the commanding officer tells me, I'm giving you a personal, you know. So he says, you know, it's all very well for women to be here, but we were sitting on a, you know, on a hard posting in Kashmir somewhere. But he says, yaar, my guys they come from the hinterland of Haryana. They wouldn't take the command from a woman. Now, when you have to make them fight for life and death, they will only take a command from somebody they consider an authority. This is well after Kalpana Chawla was flying the spacecrafts that she was flying. This was well after our women wrestlers were achieving, you know, medals in the Olympics. This was well after this was at the time when Nirmala Sitharaman was the defense minister of our country.
Okay.
I said, your force is headed by a lady. He says, that's all very good. I understand that. I will take the command, but my men will take that command from there. So you know, that is really where the bottleneck is.
Thank you. I wanted to ask you which year it was, but you told me the year. That was when the defense minister was a woman. But I tell you, women, you know, human mind is very, very resilient, very, very flexible. You couldn't have imagined a defense minister as a woman maybe 10 years back or 15 years back, or 50 years, of course. But you accept it now. Finance minister, you accept. Prime minister, you already accepted. Can you forget when Prime Minister Indira Gandhi ordered our officers of army or the defense forces combinedly, did they refuse to take the orders?
No, they can take the orders from the Prime. No, they are not directly. The men are taking the orders, are men who fight, are soldiers who fight, are drawn from the hinterland. You know,
I will agree with you,
they, when you tell the Jawan aage bad and there is dushman on the other side and there are bullets coming, it is not Indira Gandhi giving them the orders directly. She may be the Prime Minister of the country, or Nirmala Sitharaman may be heading the Defence Ministry, and the three chiefs may be reporting to her. But the Subedar Major has to be a man to give them the order and for them to follow the command. That is where the problem really lies. And you know, I'm just asking you, I'm all for that. I'm saying, are we as a country changing, and at what pace are we changing? Of course we are changing. Things are changing.
100%.
Yes.
No, 100% we are changing. We are changing at a very fast pace also. We are doing things and we are accepting things which wouldn't have been possible, which wouldn't have been acceptable few years back only. And let me tell you about these Jawans. I come from Haryana, and Haryana is a land of Jawans and officers. So as soon as they'll find a woman holding, forces have one mantra. Don't think after the order.
Yeah, true.
Right? So after the orders, whosoever is giving the order, at that time our Fojis, at that time our forces would not think who is the woman. I don't know how this gentleman said, but of course the gentlemen you do say that, but they do become very good officers as soon as they find a capable woman leading them or heading them. You know, Saab, in police forces also, you've seen they hardly had the experience of women holding high positions. So they'll always say Janab or Sahab. You know, Madam was not part of it. Like Mrs. Kabir Bedi used to say, such instances. But soon enough it has changed. Now there are so many officers, and I'm very sure if the schemes given by Prime Minister Modi and the present government or BJP continue, then we'll have women officers giving commands there also. Of course, I don't wish that situation comes. But if the situation comes, I'm sure Indian males or Indian men would accept them. I say Indian men are still much more large-hearted and liberal as far as accepting the commands or accepting them at helms of affairs is concerned. Look at America. Look at UK. They had taken years and years to accept a woman Prime Minister, and America has not accepted them yet. But look at India. Whenever there has been an opportunity for a woman, they have given her full support.
Okay. All right.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Full respect.
All right. Okay. So I'll take your point for that.
Sure.
Let me ask you something else. Forget about the hinterland. Let's come back to the city. Are our girls safe walking on the road in the city, in Delhi, in Kolkata? Are our girls safe walking after sunset on a road in the heart of, say, Connaught Place?
There also, I would say there is a sea change. There was one time, if there is a woman or a girl walking late night at one of those places in Connaught Place or central or heart of Delhi, she would be taken otherwise. Nobody would, take her to be normal, because a normal girl doesn't walk that late. But with multinationals coming, with job avenues opening, the timings of professions changing, I'm sure, I think the mindset has also changed. You can see women there, and you can see women of all sorts on the streets. 100% safety, I don't say has come. But they are surely safer than before. They are surely more acceptable than before. They're surely more respectable than before. And I really wish that a time comes, like Bangalore used to be a very safe city. Delhi also as a capital used to be a safe city, but I think there we need much more change in mindset, much more right kind of education, much more change in culture and our way of looking at women and girls. Because at homes, we have a different way. Outside, we have a different way. That duality needs to be changed. It will come from homes. It will come from educational institutions like ours, where the boys have to be told that there's nothing wrong if a woman walks out late. And a woman doesn't walk out late just without a reason. Or she always does that with a reason. And therefore, I think The mind is changing, the mindset is changing, the environment is changing, and women's attitude also is changing. But women's attitude is changing faster than rest of the society and the men along with us. I think that has to be at a pace. That will change the environment around us, and it would be, I think, much more safer in years to come. I'm very hopeful about it. I have seen the change. Delhi was very unsafe. Even I would feel at times when Nirbhaya happened, at times in the late nights, even I would feel a bit, uncomfortable. But it happens because Delhi is metro. There is no connectivity. I think on one hand, the law and legal institutions work faster. The police forces also work better.
True.
On the other hand, we must keep our younger generation aware, empowered, and cultured. Where they see in a woman, our culture only says that every woman.
So it boils down to Professor Yadav. No. I 100% agree with what you're saying, and I quite buy the optimism that you put out. And the government is doing what it's doing. All these Jandhan Yojanas, the drone Didis, the Mudra Yojana, all that goes a long way. But it all, by the end of the day, the bottom line is we need to raise our boys right. If that changes, we raise our boys right, we move forward leaps and bounds. Professor Yadav, thank you very much for joining for this scintillating discussion. I would have loved to go forward with it, but my producer tells me I'm totally out of time. But thank you for being on the show. And still to come on DD India NewsHour, US and China set to hold trade talks in London. Russia accuses Ukraine of delaying exchange of prisoners and bodies of fallen soldiers.
Our world has been facing challenges that have pushed us to the extremes. But every challenge is an opportunity that makes us rethink, rebuild, and become more resilient.
There is a weed called Lantana camara in the forest, which has been destroying the entire ecosystem. So we collaborate with indigenous people to remove this weed and convert it into briquettes.
Once you have per square kilometer accurate data, citizen groups, they will start mobilizing actions, will have an ability to focus on specific parts where the problem is.
We are currently working on a project that could protect people. This project aims to create artificial mini albufueras.
You're watching DD India NewsHour. I'm Amritpal Singh. US and China are all set to hold further trade talks on Monday in London. This comes a day after Donald Trump and Xi Jinping had a rare telephonic conversation amid weeks of disagreements over tariffs. US President Donald Trump further said that China has agreed to export rare earth minerals to the United States. Here's a report.
US President Donald Trump has said that his Chinese counterpart Xi Jinping has agreed to export rare earth minerals and magnets to the US, in a move that could lower tensions between the world's biggest economies.
Well, we're very far advanced on the China deal. We wanted clarification. We had to have clarification. A little bumpy up here. We had to have clarification. And that's what we're really having the meeting about. We had a very good talk. I talked to President Xi for, I guess, more than 2 hours. We had a very good talk. It's a complicated deal, but it's a deal that's, bring us a lot of money and a lot of everything else. And we get along very well with President Xi and with China.
The remark comes a day after Trump and Xi had a rare telephonic conversation amid weeks of disagreements over tariffs. Rare earth minerals are crucial components of electronics, magnets, and batteries. According to a report, China has granted temporary export licenses to rare earth suppliers of the top 3 US automakers. Delegates from Washington and Beijing are set to meet in London on Monday for further trade talks. In May, the two sides struck an agreement in Switzerland to roll back for 90 days most of the tit-for-tat tariffs they had placed on each other. But China's decision in April to suspend exports of a wide range of critical minerals and magnets continued to disrupt supplies needed by automakers and military contractors around the world. Trump had accused China of violating the Geneva Agreement and ordered curbs on chip design software and other shipments to China. Bureau Report, DD India.
After the second round of talks in Istanbul, Russia has accused Ukraine of indefinitely delaying a planned exchange of prisoners and the handover of bodies of fallen soldiers. Russia has initiated a large-scale humanitarian operation to transfer dead bodies of over 6,000 deceased Ukrainian soldiers and exchange wounded and young prisoners of war under the age of 25. In accordance with the agreement from the previous Istanbul negotiations, the first batch of 1,212 Ukrainian soldiers' bodies had already been delivered to the exchange location, with the rest on the way. Russia has handed over Ukraine a list of 640 captured personnel slated for exchange, with Russian Defense Ministry liaison teams deployed near the Ukrainian border to facilitate the process. An overnight Ukrainian drone attack sparked a short-lived fire at the Azot chemical plant and injured 2 people in Russia's Tula region. The fire was extinguished. Governor Dmitry Milyayev informed that there is no threat to air quality near the plant, but environmental monitoring will continue. Meanwhile, Russia launched an intense missile and drone barrage at the Ukrainian capital Kyiv on Friday, saying the strike on military and military-related targets was in response to what it called Ukrainian terrorist acts against Russia. It also attacked the eastern Ukrainian city of Kharkiv at night and in the evening with drones, missiles and guided bombs. One of Ukraine's largest cities, Kharkiv, is located just a few dozen kilometers from the Russian border and has been under constant Russian shelling during more than 3 years of conflict. The Ukrainian military said that Russia launched 206 drones, 2 ballistic and 7 other missiles against Ukraine overnight. And during his address, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said that the Russian attacks are not retaliatory, but are intended for destruction.
І хто б там що не казав, це російські удари не у відповідь, а на знищення, цілковитого знищення життя. Вони хочуть цього. І в абсолютно всіх містах, селах, на окупованій території справді видно, що означає прихід Росії. Єдине, про що піклуються окупанти, це про військову інфраструктуру та про свою можливість вивести з України все цінне.
The migrants and the Fed administration of the US are in a showdown again. In Los Angeles, riots broke out following the arrest of over 40 individuals by Immigration and Customs Enforcement or ICE in immigration raids, sparking intense protest from locals, leading the Trump administration to send 2,000 National Guard troops to the area.
Tensions continue to escalate in Los Angeles, where protests against raids by the Immigration and Customs Enforcement or ICE have been taking place. US President Donald Trump authorized the deployment of 2,000 National Guard troops to address the lawlessness and restore order. In a statement, the White House described the protests as a form of rebellion that interfered with immigration enforcement, with Trump's executive order emphasizing that any acts of violence against federal officers would face severe consequences. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth warned that U.S. Marines were on high alert and could be deployed to support National Guard efforts. The unrest in Los Angeles began on 6th June following a series of federal immigration raids by the ICE targeting undocumented immigrants across the city. At least 44 people were detained, sparking violent clashes between the police and protesters, prompting a significant response from the Trump administration. Taking to social media site X, the ICE said, and I quote, "Federal law enforcement officials faced off with violent anti-ICE rioters. Our brave officers were vastly outnumbered. Over 1,000 rioters surrounded and attacked a federal building." A smaller protest later that evening in downtown Los Angeles drew about 60 people waving Mexican flags. Bureau Report, DD India.
And still to come up on DD India NewsHour, the UN Ocean Conference is set to open in France. India to host the 12th BRICS Parliamentary Forum next year.
Geopolitics and trade deals. Economic challenges amid development. Hard work and the path to prosperity. It's the economy always. Between walkers, money is what money does and says. Supply creates its own demand. Between the bulls pulls and bears tears. When supply chains globalization and India rises to the podium. We'll get you centered with the economic brief at 8 p.m. every Thursday on DD India.
You're watching DD India NewsHour. I'm Amritpal Singh. Let's take a look at the headlines we're following at this hour. Prime Minister Narendra Modi says National Democratic Alliance government redefined women-led development in its 11 years in power. Donald Trump threatens federal intervention as anti-ICE protests sweep across Los Angeles, deploys 2,000 National Guard troops. Federal agents arrest at least 44 migrants for immigration violations in the first round. Colombia's opposition presidential candidate Miguel Uribe shot at in Bogota. Battles for life, suspect arrested. A technical symposium was held in South Africa to address the issues of global water sustainability. The event convened engineers, industry leaders, utility managers and policymakers to explore cutting-edge solutions in water and waste treatment. Key sessions focused on topics such as demineralization, system diagnostics, advanced membrane technologies and innovations in wastewater recycling. Nasni Ismail has more.
Johannesburg, South Africa, a technical symposium was held to address one of the continent's most urgent issues, water scarcity. Hosted by Ion Exchange SAFIC, the South African subsidiary of Indian multinational Ion Exchange Limited, the two-day technical symposium brought together over 100 participants from across the water sector.
It is our collective responsibility to prioritize water security as a cornerstone of sustainable development and climate resilience. India's own achievements in water management through programs such as the Jal Jeevan Mission and the Clean Ganga initiatives are noteworthy. More than 80% of Indian municipalities have adopted practices such as water reuse, metering and digital water governance.
As far as my knowledge of South Africa is concerned, their water treatment to municipalities are very old systems and which needs to have a big development. And these systems can be revamped. And as a technology professionals of India, I do hope India can have a very good part in improving the technologies of water, especially on the municipal as well as commercial.
The symposium served as a collaborative platform to address the challenges in water and wastewater treatment, including scarcity of water resources, technology adoption, and the shortage of skilled professionals in the sector.
It was an honor to come here and join the symposium and present. There were one symposium, of course, which was with the ESCOM, and ESCOM is one of the largest power generation company, and getting into ESCOM and try to impress them or try to convince them or try to make them think about ion exchange by giving them proper presentations and our capability was the idea, and I think to a larger extent we have successfully done it.
It's a combination of relationship and experience and knowledge. So SAFIC brings in local infrastructure, local connect, local understanding. Their deep understanding about how South African, consumer and customers think. Same time, Ion Exchange brings in, the proven products, proven technologies, proven technical knowledge, and our skill sets. So when both, work together, you're bound to get results, and that's what is happening currently in South Africa.
With water security at the forefront, experts are pooling their knowledge together for a better future. For DD India, Johannesburg, South Africa, I'm Nazneen.
India will hold the presidency of the 12th BRICS Parliamentary Forum next year. At a meeting of the 11th BRICS Parliamentary Forum held at Brasilia from the 3rd of June to the 5th of June, BRICS member countries unanimously condemned the Pahalgam terror attack and supported a zero-tolerance policy on terror. The Indian parliamentary delegation was led by Lok Sabha Speaker Om Birla. Let's listen in to some of the reactions that came in from this conference.
आज भारत लगातार आर्थिक परिदृश्य में परिवर्तन कर रहा है, लेकिन हमें ब्रिक्स देशों को मिलकर सामूहिक प्रयास करना होगा, क्योंकि भारत वसुदेव कुटुंबकम सबको साथ लेकर संस्कृति संस्कार वाला देश है और ब्रिक्स देश वालों लोगों को भी आपस में वैचारिक रूप से भी और व्यापार और आर्थिक परिदृश्य में भी साथ मिलकर सहयोग की आवश्यकता है।
जो गंभीर चर्चा हुई जिसमें भारत ने हर विषय पर अपनी साझेदारी की, वह पर्यावरण से जुड़ी थी, महिला सशक्तिकरण से जुड़ी थी, ब्रिक्स देशों के आपसी संसदीय मंडल में किस तरह से साझेदारी हो, किस तरह से और नजदीकी रिश्ते हमारे बने, हम एक दूसरे के बेस्ट प्रैक्टिसेस को अपनाएं, इस पर विस्तृत चर्चा हुई। आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस पर खुलकर चर्चा हुई और संसदीय प्रणाली में तकनीक के उपयोग पर भी आपसी परामर्श हुआ। अंतर्राष्ट्रीय शांति व सुरक्षा व्यवस्था समेत जो पुरानी अंतर्राष्ट्रीय संस्थाएं बनी हुई है, यूएन से लेकर सिक्योरिटी काउंसिल और अन्य ऐसी संस्थाएं, उनमें समय के बदलते स्वरूप के अनुसार क्या आवश्यक परिवर्तन हो, इस पर भी चर्चा हुई। यह सम्मेलन भारत की दृष्टि से और भारत जब अगली मेजबानी करेगा उस दृष्टि से बहुत ही सफल निर्णायक रहा। माननीय ओम बिरला जी के नेतृत्व में
ब्रिक पार्लियामेंट्री फोरम ने जो अटैक हमारा पहलगांव में हुआ उसको कंडेम किया। टेररिज्म में जीरो टॉलरेंस पॉलिसी जिसका भारत ने हमेशा जिस पर जोर दिया है उसको स्वीकार किया। आने वाले समय में आप लोगों में आपस में हम लोग इसमें कैसे इससे लड़ा जाए उसको लेकर एक सहमति बनी। जो इंटरनेशनल लॉ हैं वो उनके अनुसार, जो यूएन चार्टर है उसके हिसाब से उनके अनुसार इस पे कार्रवाई की जाएगी और आने वाले वर्षों में टेररिज्म को काउंटर करने के लिए मिलकर ब्रिक्स काम करेगा। इस पर भी एक सहमति बनी और क्रॉस बॉर्डर टेररिज्म को लेकर भी सहमति बनी है, उसको रोकना है और साथ ही साथ आतंकवाद को किसी धर्म, किसी जाति और किसी रिलीजन से जोड़कर न देखे जाकर टेररिज्म को, आतंकवाद को आतंकवादी की ही तरह देखा जाएगा। इस पर भी सब लोगों की सहमति बनी, जिससे आने वाले वर्षों में पूरी दुनिया को इस आतंकवाद, ब्रिक्स खासतौर से ब्रिक्स के जो कंट्रीज हैं उनमें जो हमारा आतंकवाद है उसको रोकने के लिए हम मिलकर काम करेंगे और भारत इसमें अपनी महत्वपूर्ण भूमिका निभाएगा।
India's all-party parliamentary delegation led by BJP MP Ravi Shankar Prasad returned back home this morning after successfully conveying India's unwavering resolve to fight against terrorism across the countries it visited, that is France, Italy, Denmark, England. It also went to Belgium and Germany.
हर जगह संसद के वरिष्ठ लोग, मंत्रीगण, थिंक टैंक, मीडिया और भारतीय कम्युनिटी से बातचीत हुई। मुझे एक बात की प्रसन्नता है कि भारत के प्रति पहलगाम के बर्बर आतंकवाद के खिलाफ बहुत गुस्सा है देशों में और सबों ने कंडेम किया। हम लोग यूरोपियन पार्लियामेंट में भी गए और हर जगह एक स्वर से इसकी आलोचना हुई और भारतीय जो थे वो तो बहुत उत्साहित थे हम लोग से मिलकर करके। यूरोप और भारत के बीच एक नए संबंधों की शुरुआत होने वाली है। भारत का आर्थिक विकास जो है दुनिया की चौथी बड़ी इकॉनमी हो गई है, इससे वो बहुत इम्प्रेस्ड हैं। भारत की डिजिटल उपलब्धि से बहुत वो प्रभावित हैं। तो जर्मनी के साथ, ईयू के साथ भारत के नए संबंधों की शुरुआत होगी।
In the last leg of their six-nation visit, the team engaged in Germany, where on Saturday the team interacted with leaders and key representatives of the Indian community in Berlin. The event began with the participants observing a 2-minute silence in solemn tribute to the victims of the Pahalgam attack, pledging to stand united against the scourge of terrorism. The Indian community in Berlin displayed immense enthusiasm, drawing inspiration from India's growth story and its unwavering stance against terrorism under the leadership of Prime Minister Modi. Ravi Shankar Prasad termed the visit to Germany as highly successful, saying across the 6 countries they visited, they received great respect and India's concerns were given a hearing. Earlier, the team engaged with key members of the German Bundestag as well as prominent German think tanks. They understood India's stance on zero tolerance against terrorism. The members conveyed that India's response to the Pahalgam terrorist attack was precise, measured and non-escalatory. Additionally, they articulated India's unequivocal position that no distinction can be made between terrorists and those who support or shelter them. And the team led by Shashi Tharoor continues to engage with people and various stakeholders in the United States. Today, the delegation paid homage to Mahatma Gandhi at his statue opposite the embassy in Washington, D.C. Writing on social media X, Tharoor highlighted how many world capitalists are adorned with statues or busts of Mahatma Gandhi, the 20th century's greatest apostle of peace, non-violence and human freedom. Earlier, Tharoor spent his final afternoon in Washington to give interviews to various newspapers, during which he underscored that part of the objectives of the trip was to get India's story out in the national media of the countries that they were visiting. He expressed delight that similar thing had been happening in Colombia and Panama as well. External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar will visit France, the European Union and Belgium from the 8th of June to the 14th of June to strengthen bilateral ties and multilateral ties. The Emir said this. In France, he will co-chair the India-France strategic dialogue and meet French officials to deepen cooperation in defense and trade. In Brussels, Dr. Jaishankar will engage with EU leaders on economic partnerships and climate initiatives. In Belgium, the discussions will focus on technology and innovation. The visit aims to advance India's strategic interests amid global geopolitical shifts, building on recent high-level engagements. UK's Foreign Secretary David Lammy concluded day 1 of his India visit, meeting Commerce and Industry Minister Piyush Goyal. Both leaders held a fruitful meeting, expressing appreciation towards the work being done in finalizing the historic India-UK FTA, which is poised to give a further boost to our growing ties. The two sides further discussed avenues to deepen bilateral trade and strengthen collaboration across various sectors to unlock the full potential of the comprehensive strategic partnership. Update from India's northeastern state of Manipur now. After violent protests on the streets on Imphal on Saturday night, the internet and mobile data services have been suspended in 5 key districts for 5 days, effective from 23:45 IST. The internet was suspended in Imphal West, Imphal East, Thoubal, Kakching and Bishnupur. While the curfew has been imposed in Bishnupur till further orders, the directives came after the protest broke out against the arrest of a leader of the Meitei volunteer group Arambai Tenagoy or AT. The authorities fear that some anti-social elements might use social media exclusively for transmission of images, hate speech and hate videos, inciting the passions of the public, with which might have serious repercussions for law and order. As per another official directive, the order was passed ex parte in view of emerging situation. It also showed that strict action will be taken against the violators of the order. Besides, the authorities have appealed to the general public to maintain peace and not to believe in rumors. Moving on to the weather now. The flood situation in Assam improved marginally as major rivers including the Brahmaputra showed receding trends due to decreased level of rains in the past few days, and none of the rivers are now flowing above the danger level. The two districts Kamrup and Darrang were affected by these landslides. The Indian Weather Department issued yellow alerts for Tripura, Mizoram, Nagaland, Manipur, Assam, Meghalaya. The two landslides were reported from Dima Hasao and Kamrup on Saturday, and the person has been reported dead, taking the death toll to 17 this year in floods. Assam Chief Minister Dr. Hemanta Biswa Sharma on Friday visited the Barak Valley for the second time in a week and reassured timely rehabilitation grants to the people that had damaged infrastructure like roads. They'll be repaired before Durga Puja festivities. None of the rivers are now flowing above the danger level. The SDRF, the DDRF, the Inland and Water Transport, Fire and Emergency Services, local administration offices are carrying out relief and rehabilitation measures. And still to come up on DD India NewsHour, let's have a sneak peek into the French Open's rich legacy and history since inception in 1891. Portugal will be up against Spain in the UEFA Nations League final in Munich on Sunday. Watching DD India NewsHour, I'm Amritpal Singh. The United Nations Ocean Conference is all set to open its door in France's Nice on Monday. Co-hosted by France and Costa Rica, 5-day UNOC3 aims to accelerate action on protecting the world's oceans. The conference aims to accelerate action and mobilize all actors to conserve and sustainably use the ocean, focusing on key themes like restoring marine ecosystems, reducing pollution and promoting ocean-based scientific cooperation. At the press conference, India is being represented by Dr. Jitendra Singh as the head of the high-level delegation who has reached Nice. India's participation in this international meet marks a significant futuristic step by the Government of India, as it would reiterate Prime Minister Narendra Modi's commitment to India's global engagement on ocean sustainability and marine cooperation. Today marks the World Oceans Day, where all come together to celebrate the greatest wonder of our planet. But this great wonder is under threat. It's time we pledge to protect it for all today and for the future Let's take a look at this report.
Each year on June 8, the world comes together to celebrate World Oceans Day. The ocean covers 70% of our planet and produces more than half the oxygen we breathe. It feeds over 1 billion people and supports millions of jobs worldwide. But this great wonder is under threat. Plastic makes up 80% of marine pollution, with 8 to 10 million tons entering the ocean every year. By 2050, plastic could outweigh all the fish in the sea. In just the last decade, we have produced more plastic than in the entire previous century, and nearly all of it still exists as harmful microplastics. We have lost half of coral reefs and 90% of big fish populations. The ocean also absorbs 30% of human carbon emissions, helping slow climate change, but it can't do this alone. The theme for World Oceans Day 2025 is Wonder Sustaining What Sustains Us. It reminds us to protect the ocean that supports all life on Earth. You can help by saving water, reducing plastic waste, choosing sustainable seafood, and joining local cleanups. This year, events in Nice, France, including the parade of boats from Monaco, will highlight our shared responsibility to care for the ocean. The ocean is our world's greatest wonder. It's time we protect it for today and for the future. India's Minister of State for Earth Sciences, Jitendra Singh, is in Nice, France, to lead India's delegation at the United Nations Ocean Conference, where global leaders and experts will discuss sustainable ocean governance and actions to protect ocean health. Bureau Report, DD, India.
In a significant move for wildlife conservation, South Africa has introduced a decade-long agreement to establish no fishing zones around 6 crucial breeding sites of the endangered African penguin. This was announced in conjunction with the World Oceans Day on June 8th. It aims to curb the population decline of the species, which is primarily driven by overfishing. Research shows that African penguins are declining at a rate of 8% per year. It is feared that by 2035, the African penguins will be extinct in the wild. As a result, the International Union for Conservation of Nature has listed species as critically endangered.
There should be roughly about 2,000 here, but they're declining all the time. Some of the colonies have disappeared already.
You're watching DD India NewsHour for time now for some sports news. The red clay of the Roland Garros will witness a historic showdown as world number 1 Yannick Sinner faces defending champion Carlos Alcaraz in the 2025 French Open men's final on Sunday. The two are set to square off on court Philippe Chatia, where Alcaraz is looking down to win its second French Open title in a row. It is the first Grand Slam final between the two players born in the 2000s, marking a new era in the men's tennis.
The stage is set at the French Open for a blockbuster finale. On Sunday, the world will witness a Grand Slam final between two of the tennis's brightest stars, Carlos Alcaraz and Yannick Sinner. Paris is set for a generational clash. For the first time in Grand Slam history, two players born in the 2000s will contest in the final, signaling a new era in tennis. Carlos Alcaraz, the defending champion, advanced to the final after Lorenzo Musetti retired due to injury during the semi-final clash. Meanwhile, world number 1 Yannick Sinner showcased dominance, defeating Novak Djokovic in straight sets, marking a significant generational shift in men's tennis. The 23-year-old Italian sensation Yannick Sinner has been in imperious form, not dropping a single set en route to the final. His semi-final victory over Novak Djokovic ended the Serbia's quest for a 25th major title. For Sinner, it's a chance at his first French Open title, and for Alcaraz, an opportunity to defend his crown and solidify his legacy on clay. In the previous encounters, Alcaraz holds a 7-4 advantage over Sinner, including a recent victory at the Rome final. However, Sinner's current form and consistency makes this matchup too close to call. With both the players at the pinnacle of their game, the final isn't just about a trophy, it's about legacy, dominance, and the dawn of a new chapter in men's tennis. Will Alcaraz defend his crown, or will Sinner seize his first Grand Slam title? One thing's for certain, the world will be watching. Sports Desk, DD India.
Let's talk about football now. Portugal will be up against Spain in the UEFA Nations League final in Munich on Sunday. Portugal reached the final after defeating host Germany 2-1 in the first semi-final. Ronaldo scored the winning goal, his 137th for Portugal, further solidifying his position as the all-time leading goal scorer in international football. Spain booked their place in the final with a 5-4 win over France. Yamal netted twice in a pushing 9-goal thriller to add to his rapidly swelling reputation as a bona fide superstar. The two European giants last met in the Nations League in 2022 when Spain won 1-0. Both teams bid to become the first ever two-time UEFA Nations League champions. Portugal won the inaugural edition in 2009 while Spain were crowned champions in 2023. A drone light show focused on marine life lit up the skies in Nice in France ahead of the 2025 UN Ocean Conference. The conference, co-hosted by France and Costa Rica, will run from June 9th to June 13th and will be centered around accelerating action and mobilizing all actions to conserve and sustainably use the ocean. That's it then in this edition of DD India NewsHour, but do let us know your thoughts and on the news of the day. And for those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from across the world on DD India's mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code you see on your screens to download now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Amrit Pal Singh. From my entire team here in Delhi, thank you for watching DD India NewsHour.